hearing to order. And before I continue, let me acknowledge our let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for today.
Good morning, Your Honor. For today's public hearing, we have the following resource persons. From the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, we have Mr. Alejandro H. Tenco. From the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, or CEZA, we have Ms. Katrina Ponce Enrile. From the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, we have Mr. Tereso Opanga and Attorney Jenny June Romero. From Clark Development Corporation, we have Police Major General Lina Sarmiento. From the Authority of Freeport Area of Bataan, we have Mohammed Hussein P. Pangandaman. From the Department of Finance, we have Assistant Secretary Carlo Fermin S. Adriano. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Attorney Edgar Alan Reyes II. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Director Von Ryan Pangui. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Commissioner Joe Anthony Viado. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney RJ.A. Bernal. From the Philippine National Police, we have Colonel Randy Y. Arceo, Colonel William R. Tuliao, Colonel David Toklay. From the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Attorney Van Homer Angluben. From the Law Office of Gaspar, Caneba, and Franco, we have Attorney Michael A. Gaspar. From Avantis Corporation, we have Attorney Lori Lee Margaret Granado. From Caspo Incorporated, we have Attorney Georgia Pangan. And from First Orient International Ventures Corporation, we have Attorney Mara Recalde. That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Comsec. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in today's hearing. And this is the second hearing on this topic. We have 4 bills to consider today. First one is Senate Bill number 63, entitled An Act Prohibiting Online Gambling, Penalizing the Placing of Wagers or Bets through the Internet or any form of online gambling activities and for other purposes. Authored by Senator Cayetano. Next is Senate Bill number 1281, an act prohibiting online gambling and placing of wagers or bets through the internet or any form of online gambling activities, providing penalties therefore and for other purposes, authored by Senator Joel Villanueva. Next will be Senate Bill number 2689, an act repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 11,591, otherwise known as an act taxing Philippine offshore gaming operations and for other purposes, authored by yours truly. And lastly, which was referred to us, and I thank Senator Mark Villar for transferring this bill to us because we have already started hearing the other 3 bills that I mentioned earlier. And this is Senate Bill number 2752, an act banning Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGO, as we all know it, and other operations related thereto and for other purposes. So this is the new transfer to this committee so that we can come up with a unified committee report tackling online gaming. And last time we discussed the different technicalities of online gaming. As I understand it from PAGCOR and also from our resource persons, there are 2 forms of online gaming. One, to put it simply, one taking bets domestically from local sources, and one taking bets from offshore or international bets. POGOs, as we all know it, takes bets from outside of the Philippines, particularly largely from China. And the president has already ruled that all forms of POGO will be banned. So it goes without saying that this committee will pursue the legislative track of banning POGOs and the taxation that gave the taxation regime to POGOs. The bill calls for online gaming. No? So the other track that we are taking will be the banning of POGO in line with the presidential directive during the SONA. So we will be entering into a technical working group to discuss that bill that will completely ban POGOs and the taxation that is connected to POGO. The other aspect of this bill, and this is part of the bill that was filed by Senator Cayetano and Senator Villanueva, is to ban online gaming, and that includes taking bets from domestic or from local sources. And this is what we want to discuss today. Last time we had a broad discussion on the concepts. We requested PAGCOR to supply us with information, and we thank PAGCOR for giving us information. We also requested the BIR to give us also information so that we can complete our analysis. What we have done in the POGOs, we conducted a cost-benefit analysis, and we thank DOF for helping us with that analysis. So in the discussion on online gaming, particularly e-games, I think the local term for the local taking of bets is called e-games. So in the discussion of e-games, we want to also understand the costs and benefit to the country, the revenues that it's generating both to PAGCOR and also to the BIR, and also the attendant or the peripheral business that it generates for the country. And we've already made some preliminary analysis based on the submissions of PAGCOR, and we will discuss that today. But we are also fortunate that we're also joined by other stakeholders, particularly some of the economic zones that are also engaged in gaming or other forms of support to gaming, and we invited them today to also share with us their thoughts on the four bills that were that are for consideration today, and to give us their suggestions and their comments on those bills. So we'll start off with, I know that some of our resource persons requested to give their comments ahead, and I think Administrator Katrina Ponce Enrile signified that if she may go ahead to give their comments. We'll start off with that. We invited some of the eco zones to give their comments, so we'll start off with that, and then later on we'll drill down into the data and the statistics that were given to us by PAGCOR and BIR. So we'll start off with comments from Administrator Katrina Ponce Enrile of CEZA on the measures.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to thank the Senate Committee on Ways and Means, the Committee on Labor, Employment and Human Resources Development, and the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs for inviting the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority as one of the resource speakers in today's hearing. Cagayan Economic Zone Authority fully supports the government on its determination and commitment through its enormous efforts to eliminate criminalities brought by the Philippine offshore gaming operations or POGOs in the country. Further, we agree to the total banning of offshore gaming operations that were licensed by the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR and other offshore gaming operations of the same nature. However, we propose that the power and authority of CEZA to issue interactive gaming licenses be retained. CEZA's interactive gaming operations is very different from the Philippine offshore gaming operation of PAGCOR. The following are the significant differences of CEZA from PAGCOR's operations. To wit, number one, basis for authority. CEZA's iGaming jurisdiction and authority comes from Republic Act 7922, whereas PAGCOR's POGO authority came from Executive Order number 13, series of 2017. CEZA, under its charter, has been given the authority to accept, accredit, and allow enterprises organized or domiciled in the Philippines or any foreign country. It is also given the authority to issue licenses on games and amusements. PAGCOR's charter, on the other hand, does not include operations outside the jurisdiction of the Republic of the Philippines. PAGCOR's charter and authority is territorial to the country. CEZA is purely regulatory. PAGCOR regulates and operates at the same time. It is focused on licensing and regulations, so it is not conflicted in its vision, operations, and business model. Number 2, framework. CEZA's framework is based on a service provider relationship between the Philippine Securities and Exchange Commission registered service company and the CEZA licensed foreign iGaming company. We do not accept bets. We only provide content, technology, and IT support. PAGCOR's POGOs accepts and process bets in the country. Unlike PAGCOR, CEZA does not allow sub-licensing. It is one company and one license setup. POGO sub-licensing model has paved the way for the proliferation of the fly-by-night and scam operators. PAGCOR can no longer track how deep the sub-licensees go. PAGCOR's POGOs and service providers practically operate wherever they want in the Philippines. Instead of being secured within the confines of a jurisdiction like the Cagayan Economic Zone and Freeport, PAGCOR has allowed the proliferation of POGOs literally everywhere. Number 3, well-defined borders of operation. PAGCOR uses Globe, PLDT Smart, and Converge for their internet usage, which has traffic coming in and out of the country. CEZA, on the other hand, has its own internet service provider, which is limited to outbound traffic only. Working visas. PAGCOR has thousands of Chinese and other foreign nationals. We only have 153 expatriates inside our zone. Number 4, workforce. Local talents are prioritized and CEZA requires its locator to maintain a 70 to 30% employment ratio in favor of Filipino citizens. In contrast, tens of thousands of foreign workers are employed by POGOs. Since there is no control in the issuance of visas and POGOs are located everywhere, the ratio of Filipino to expats cannot be ascertained. 5, track record. For more than 20 years that CEZA has been regulating and licensing iGaming, it never had instances of kidnapping, human trafficking, torture, scams, and murder. Within 7 years of operationalizing POGO, the industry that PAGCOR has created through EO13 has created so much backlash that it has now reached the halls of the Senate and Congress. Number 6, Anti-Money Laundering Council compliance. CEZA has been cleared by AMLC as compliant to its provisions. This can be attributed to the strict monitoring of its operations, including educating all its locators regarding the anti-money laundering rules and regulations. PAGCOR continues to have compliance challenges with the AMLC. Just a brief background, historical background, so to better understand. In order for this August body to fully understand how POGOs came to life, allow me to provide a brief historical background on the internet gaming industry in the country. The interactive gaming industry started in CEZA in 2003. During those times, the gaming industry was very peaceful and orderly. Everybody knew everybody, and we were actually taking as a gaming jurisdiction very seriously. In 2005, considering the minimal infrastructure and facilities inside the zone, CEZA was constrained to enter into a memorandum of agreement with PAGCOR that would enable CEZA's interactive gaming support service providers to operate outside the Cagayan Freeport. In 2007, OGCC Opinion Number 241, Series of 2007, confirmed CEZA's authority to allow interactive gaming support service providers to operate outside the Cagayan Freeport. CEZA continued with the interactive gaming support service operations in PEZA IT registered buildings such as RCBC, PBCom Tower, Burgundy Corporate Tower, Marvin Plaza, and the Enterprise Center, among others. In 2011, CEZA entered into another memorandum of agreement with the new PAGCOR. However, the MOA was not implemented because PAGCOR wanted CEZA's interactive gaming support service providers to accept bets from the Philippine territory, but CEZA refused to accede to PAGCOR. In 2013, PAGCOR got an idea of starting an operation similar to that of CEZA. It was in the same year when PAGCOR and Prime Investment Korea, or PIKI, had entered into an agreement allowing the operation of gaming tables equipped with high-definition cameras, voice-over internet protocol facilities, and other internet data facilities in Midas Hotel. Later on, the operation spread to Soler, City of Dreams, Resorts World, and then Okada. In 2017, former President Duterte issued Executive Order Number 13, mandating all gaming and gaming-related activities to operate inside the territorial jurisdiction of the authority that issued the license. In compliance with EO 13, all CEZA interactive gaming support service providers were allowed to operate in specific areas in Manila were directed to relocate back to Cagayan Freeport. It was also EO 13 which gave life to PAGCOR's POGOs, as it was during the same year when PAGCOR officially institutionalized the term POGO. PAGCOR has done so much iterations and mutations from the original concept of CEZA's interactive gaming license. It actually transformed it into something else that was not anymore reflective of what was being done within CEZA. A massive exodus of licensees and interactive gaming support service providers left CEZA's jurisdiction to PAGCOR's jurisdiction, which started to happen during the time of President Benigno Aquino III and exponentially grew during the time of President Rodrigo Duterte's term. From CEZA's 300 interactive gaming support service providers and IG licensees, CEZA was down to approximately 30. In 2018, criminality involving POGOs started to occur. This was confirmed by former PAGCOR Chair Andrea Domingo during the Senate hearing last July 29, 2024. In the committee chaired by Senator Ontiveros, in the committee chaired by Senator Ontiveros. Such criminality likely occurred due to the absence of the fundamental regulatory conditions of PAGCOR when it started to regulate offshore gaming. As admitted by former Chair Domingo, they were still studying how to regulate online gaming when they already launched POGO, which was a flawed replica of CEZA's iGaming structure. The question that was begging to be answered is, why did Chairman Andrea Domingo authorize the operations of POGOs when they were still studying how to operationalize it? Now, our country is facing menacing criminalities attributed to the operations of POGOs. These crimes, mind you, happening outside the jurisdiction of CEZA is clearly a result of failure, if not total breakdown of regulation. CEZA's position. Thus, it is our position that interactive gaming operations may still be permitted provided that, number one, it will be highly regulated by government agencies like CEZA with sufficient experience in the interactive gaming industry. Number two, rigorous monitoring of online activities will be done using advanced cybercrime prevention technologies as done in other countries with significant investments in digital technology. And number three, the operations are confined in a secured and well-defined border like CEZA for effective management and monitoring. In view of the foregoing, we seek the exemption and total exclusion of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority in the coverage of the following sections of the proposed bills, to wit, number 1, Section 5 of Senate Bill number 63, number 2, Section 5 of Senate Bill number 1281, number 3, Section 2 of Senate Bill number 2689. Number 4, Section 3 of Senate Bill number 2752. CEZA has been steadfast in its commitment to provide a sound regulatory framework anchored on fairness, honesty, transparency, integrity, and responsible conduct of interactive gaming to enhance the integrity of the industry and provide protection to players, investors, and most especially the local community. We thank the honorable chairpersons for the Senate Committee for giving us the opportunity to present our position on the above-mentioned Senate bills. We hope that the committees under your leadership will consider and appreciate the points raised, especially on the difference of CEZA's interactive gaming operations from PAGCOR's Philippine offshore gaming operations, and we will send a position paper to your good office, Senator Senator Gatchalian, after this.
Thank you, Administrator Katrina. I'll finish all the IPAs who are here with us so that we can just field questions to all the IPAs at the same time. We call on PEZA, represented by Attorney Romero. Any comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Your Honors. Thank you for inviting PEZA and giving PEZA the opportunity to comment on Senate Bills 63, 2752, 2689, and 1281. PEZA expresses its full support and commends the laudable intention and purpose of the Senate bills to ban POGOs, as the adverse effects to the country and the national economy far outweigh the benefits that can be derived from their continuous existence or operations in the country. Further, the objectives of the subject bills are aligned with the long-standing policy of PEZA not to register online gaming or gambling operations. To this end, PEZA fully supports and will fully cooperate with all initiatives of the government aimed at bringing into fruition the directive of the President to completely ban all POGO operations in the country. We take this opportune time, Your Honor, to clarify certain information and to submit accurate information on PEZA with respect to POGOs. PEZA does not register POGOs. Online gaming or gambling or any gaming operation is not a registrable activity under the PEZA law, and hence it is not entitled to PEZA. It is not entitled to incentives under the PEZA rules. PEZA has not registered a single POGO project or activity. PEZA's mandate under its charter, that is Republic Act 7916 as amended by 8748, does not give PEZA the authority or power to issue a license to operate gambling casinos or undertake online gaming or gambling inside and more so outside the economic zones owned and or administered by PEZA. It has long been the standing policy or honor of PEZA not to register online gaming, gambling, or gaming operations in recognition and deference to the regulatory supervision and the mandate of PAGCOR. We also want to mention, Your Honor, that as of now, PEZA has 4,380 registered business enterprises operating nationwide. And of these 4,380 RBEs, 35.55% of which account for our IT, information technology, business process management companies, some of which are even included in the top Fortune 500 companies, which goes to show that all of these are legitimate investors. And these companies, they generate total of 986,550 direct employment, or 57.60 share from the total RBE's generated employment of 1,712,653, and this data is as of June 30, 2024. We also wish to assure this honorable committee, honorable chair, that these PEZA registered IT BPMs are very legitimate investors. As I said, they're included in the top Fortune 500 companies, and they are not into online gaming or gambling. In fact, this prohibition, Your Honor, is expressly so stated in the registration agreement that they sign with PEZA. We also implement safety measures to see to it that these companies really strictly comply with this requirement. We also want to clarify and mention or to correct the common misconception, Your Honor, that all economic zones are under the supervision of PEZA. There are 14, and in other papers we see 19 IPAs, and all of these IPAs, they operate under their own separate charters, under their own authorities. PEZA is just but one of these IPAs, although, well, I could say that it is the biggest and the largest IPA. The economic zones administered by these other IPAs are beyond and outside PEZA's authority and jurisdiction. Finally, Your Honor, in behalf of our Director General, who could not be here now because of a prior engagement and an equally important engagement, he wishes to relay to this honorable committee that PEZA fully supports the government's thrust to eradicate POGOs, and PEZA will assist in the process of providing training and employment to all displaced Filipino workers as a result of the eradication or closing of all these POGOs in the country. Thank you for the opportunity, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Romero. We call on CDC, represented by Retired General Sarmiento.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, for inviting CDC in today's hearing. We already have a position paper, but I would just like to highlight some of the salient features of our position paper. We would like to share to this committee the experience of Clark in the POGO operations. So, as of May 3, 2024, there were 5 POGO recognized and duly registered with CDC. But as of the moment, there is only one remaining POGO inside Clark, and that is Onyotech, with 3 foreign nationals and 150 Filipino workers. But I would just like to highlight the economic contribution of POGOs to Clark Development Corporation. First, on the visa application fee, CDC, being the investment promotion agency vested with the authority to issue endorsements to the Bureau of Immigration for the issuance of working permits to foreign nationals, a fee is imposed on the processing of these applications. In 2020, this revenue stream was at its peak with an annual amount of 74,935,320, which accounted for almost 3% of CDC's total revenue stream for that year. And then for the sublease share of CDC from the rent, CDC collects a percentage of gross rental revenue generated from these transactions. The highest annual revenue for the year 2022 at 5,389,569 is less than 0.2% of CDC's total revenue for the year 2022. And processing fees also, we get processing fees for certificates and permits. These include permits to operate, certificates of tax exemption, and letters of no objection for PAGCOR processing. So at its peak, the aggregate total of all these contributions from 2019 until 2022 amount to 198,235,034 pesos. And notably, this amount only consists of a mere 2% of the total revenues of CDC based on the audited financial statements of the corporation as audited by the Commission on Audit. Now, the social expense to Clark. Unfortunately, because of the presence of many foreign nationals inside CDC, there is a proliferation of crimes such as prostitution, kidnapping, and human trafficking. So there are some incidents which we have highlighted in our position paper, and from these incidents we can see that the effects of these crimes affects the reputation of Clark, and hence the social expense far outweighs the economic gains that the government may derive from these businesses. Thus, given the proliferation of these incidents in relation to the existence of POGOs within Clark Report Zone, on June 8, 2023, the CDC Board of Directors issued a suspension of the processing and acceptance of applications of POGOs and business process outsourcing service providers. So, as of now, as I have said earlier, there is only one remaining POGO operating in Clark, and immediately after the instruction of the President to ban POGOs, we already sent a letter to the operator that we told them that the approval of the sublease agreement as well as its authority to operate shall remain valid only until December 31, 2024, and to ensure a smooth transition and orderly cessation of business operations. The operator was directed to coordinate with CDC for the satisfaction of certain clearance requirements, which includes, number one, employees' separation pays, inclusive of applicable benefits and entitlements under the Labor Code of the Philippines. Number two, settlement of all outstanding and resulting fees and charges to CDC. Number three, downgrading of the working visas issued to foreign nationals. And number four, liquidation of importation, bring in egress of tangible and movable assets if applicable. And last, securing a BIR tax clearance, clearances from utility companies and other documentations as may be applicable. Finally, Your Honor, on behalf of our President, who unfortunately cannot attend today's hearing, CDC expresses its full support to the administration's fight against all forms of illegal activity and supports all the bills that is the subject of the hearing today. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. And lastly, from the IPAs, will be AFAB. Any comments, sir?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow workers in government, honorable members of this committee. I am Hussein Pangandaman, Administrator and CEO of AFAB. In relation to the Senate Bills number 63, 2752 and 1281 for Anti-Gambling Act, and Senate Bill 2689 for an Act repealing 11590. We, before the pronouncement of our Honorable President last SONA on the complete ban of POGO in the country, we already submitted our position paper, Mr. Chair. And upon receiving the invitation just yesterday, I would like to update our position paper on the matter, and we are respectfully requesting, Mr. Chairman, that we submit it on Monday. But regardless, I would like to read some salient points of our position paper, Mr. Chairman, if I may. The AFAB supports the initiative and intent of the proponents of the bills insofar as they seek to preserve the moral fiber of the society and to prevent the disintegration of our values as people. The AFAB likewise shares the proponents' goal of guarding through future generations against the harms and risks that accompany unregulated and unsupervised online gambling and other sinful activities. Similarly, the AFAB joins with the proponents' fight against human trafficking, online scams, and other human rights abuses caused by illegal operations under the guise of legitimate offshore gaming operators. Nevertheless, as this committee requested the AFAB's official position on the proposed measures in as much as they would affect the operations and ultimately their mandates, this position paper is hereby submitted with the end in view of having the committee consider the same in further crafting the bill, as well as in providing well-sounded remedies and measures to address the current concern. The AFAB is of the view that evil sought to be eliminated by these bills will not cease to exist just by altogether prohibiting and declaring illegal online gambling and its similar acts and offshore gaming operations. With due deference to the proponents, this bill should not be a means to justify the lack of strong regulatory oversight of the government and its concerned agencies over these industries, their operations, and components. As an investment promotion agency, the AFAB under its charter is mandated to attract foreign direct investments, which aim to generate employment and spur domestic economic growth. The success of the AFAB as an IPA relies on investments, either foreign or domestic. Its capacity was further reinforced with the passage of RA 11453, thereby amending certain provisions of Republic Act 9728 and strengthening the powers and functions of the AFAB. Section 13 of Republic Act 9728 as amended provides that the AFAB, among others, has the power to operate on its own, either directly or through a license, other tourism-related activities, including games, amusements, recreational and sports facilities, subject to the approval and supervision of the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR. Corollary thereto, the AFAB, under its implementing rules and regulations, may operate games, sports betting, exchange betting, peer-to-peer gaming, esports, digit games, live streaming games, amusements, gambling casinos, horse racing, recreational and sports facilities subject to the approval of the PAGCOR. On the other hand, games, recreational, amusements, and sports activities and facilities that are not covered under the PAGCOR Charter under Presidential Decree 1869 as amended are under the AFAB's jurisdiction. Online gambling is an encompassing term which will cover any and all gambling activities made which involves the use of the internet. Hence, it cannot all be declared illegal. It is along these precepts that the AFAB suggests a proper distinction and further clarification of online gambling, what may be allowed and regulated, and what should be banned and declined. To place it in proper context, weteng and high-alay are forms of gambling, which were declared illegal, but not horse racing and casino gambling, which are also forms of gambling, to name a few. Online gambling in specific forms can be regulated and declared illegal without eradicating relevant government agencies of their jurisdiction over these activities. Unlike in land-based casinos, Filipino citizens are strictly not allowed to bet or participate in online interactive gaming activities that are being licensed by special economic and free port zones, which is also known as offshore gaming operations. Corresponding sanctions and penalties are being imposed upon the licenses and any other person responsible for any violation of the rules. There is therefore no social cost that is attributable to offshore gaming operations. They only arise when attended by external factors beyond the control of gaming operators or accredited service providers, such as those related to the failure of handling of the peace and order situation. Be it as it may, the AFAB maintains its position and reiterates its earlier manifestations in similar hearings and inquiries that while the AFAB is allowed under its amended charter to operate and license games, amusements, recreational and sports facilities similar to the special economic and Freeport zones, POGO operators have not yet reached the AFAB and its expansion areas. Neither did AFAB issue registration or license to any enterprise engaged in such activity as defined under Republic Act 11590. As regards to the service provider defined under Section 27 of the National Internal Revenue Code as amended by RA 11590, the AFAB has sub-service providers which are registered as FAB enterprises and licensed as such. These service providers are engaged in business process outsourcing, information technology, or also known as BPO ITs, activity, and cater to offshore clients which operations are located abroad and not locally through a service agreement for operational and technical support services. By the average, foreign workers represent only 5.7% of the total workforce of these so-called BPOs within the jurisdiction of our Freeport zone. An estimate of around 107 foreigners and 1,697 Filipinos. All are locally hired and all from the province of Bataan. These are locals, Mr. Chairman. And this notwithstanding, the AFAB is firm in its commitment in not allowing the FAB and its expansion areas to be a hub for illegal POGO, nor it will cater to such activities. As of this date, there has not been any known or reported incident of criminality related to the activities of the BPO ITs within our Freeport. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, as administrator of AFAB, been conducting periodic inspections. We, together with the local government, the NBI, and the Philippine National Police. In fact, just recently, last June or July, I was with the governor of Bataan. Upon receiving the request from DILG to certify that Bataan is POGO free, so we conducted inspections in these BPOs within our Freeport, Mr. Chair. And we're proud to announce that there is no trace of POGO or other operations related to gaming or online gaming, Mr. Chair. And at any rate, offshore gaming operations may use emerging technologies which industry and or activity may be registrable in the FAB. These possibilities and other alternatives to regulate gambling activities to make it advantageous to the government through revenue regulation will not come to fruition through a law declaring these activities and operations illegal. However, while the AFAB supports the initiative and intent of the committee insofar as it seeks to address economic and social issues related to POGO, it is submitted that stricter gaming regulatory policies should be in place and sternly implemented not only by the PAGCOR as the lead agency, but by other regulatory agencies like the Department of Labor and Employment, Bureau of Immigration, Department of Justice, the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, including Special Economic Zone Authorities or Freeport Authorities to complement the declared policies of Republic Act 11590. Rather than completely banning these activities and operations that may have potential benefits and create direct impact to the economy. As a regulatory body within its territorial jurisdiction, The AFAB and other similarly situated special economic zones are guaranteed the right to be autonomous or to be self-reliant and self-sustaining. It is worth emphasizing that the FAB was created to be developed into and operated as a decentralized, self-reliant, and self-sustaining industrial, commercial trading, agro-industrial, tourist, banking, and financial and investment, and information and communication technology center. The AFAB may cater to this kind of activities by placing safeguards through policy formation and other issuances to proper regulate the same as it may see fit. The AFAB may also allow or limit forms of online gambling and or offshore gaming operations depending on its discretion and its capacity to regulate any and all kinds of online offshore gambling with the bounds of the law and limited to its territorial jurisdiction. Lastly, assuming that AFAB has duly licensed IGLs operating with the area of jurisdiction, the AFAB has the capacity and resources to monitor, supervise, and guard their activities, taking into consideration the strict security force that we have, coupled with our close and constant coordination with the local police force and other national agencies already stationed within the zone, which should ensure that the instances and criminality that have marred the operations of POGOs in other parts of the country may not possibly occur. Like PAGCOR, we may have been able to collect additional income for the national government. In view of the foregoing, the AFAB shares the sentiment of the proponents that online gambling and offshore gaming operations should not be a vessel for the destruction of the nation's moral fabric, abuse, injustice, and all other socio-economic problems. As previously mentioned, locals or Filipino citizens are not allowed to participate in online gambling that is only caters those situated outside of its jurisdiction. It is therefore respectfully submitted that the proponents be circumspect in crafting the necessary legislation in view of the above comments and recommendations which are submitted for this joint committee's consideration. Respectfully submitting it, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for that comment. After hearing the comments of our IPAs, I have a question. I was actually looking at the list of resource persons, and I was asking my staff if we had invited someone from the Office of the President, but the closest person to the Office of the President is PAO, Secretary USEC Gilbert Cruz. So I want to ask if the executive order to operationalize the pronouncement of the President to ban POGOs have been promulgated already. As I understand it, the process will be based on news reports and also from the hearings. I also heard the chairman of PAGCOR mention that an executive order is forthcoming. May I ask PAO if the executive order has been released or will be released, and when will it be released?
The executive order, Mr. Chair, will be released probably in 2 weeks' time. I've seen the draft, and I think in 2 weeks' time.
Is it possible to ask what are the broad concepts inside the executive order, considering that we are also talking about banning online gaming to include offshore and domestic betting activities? Meron na bang mga broad concepts, for example, definitions, things like that?
Actually,
Are you
sir,
at liberty to discuss that?
not yet, sir. Pero I can say, sir, doon lang po, sir, nagkakaproblema as to the paano magiging implementation. But the definition of terms is already there, sir. What's commonly being used here, sir, is already there. Yung nakikita ko na lang, sir, na pinag-uusapan talaga is the concept of the operation and how it will be disseminated, sir.
I don't know if you're at liberty also to say this, because there's quite a confusion on the ground, no? What encompasses POGOs, no? I think we all understand the POGOs that we read in the news, or yung mga nare-read nyo, no? Yung mga nare-read nyo. And a lot of these companies, they thrive on getting bets from China, but behind it also they operate scamming activities and other activities, no? But the front is offshore gaming company getting bets from China. But there's now from all the hearings that are being conducted here in the Senate, there's an entity now arising, but it's also showing confusion, and with this is the service providers, no? I think PAGCOR, under the PAGCOR regulation, it's called special class BPOs, no? And from what I understand, and we're still doing due diligence, is this type of BPOs, no, do not get bets, but only provide services to gaming companies outside of the Philippines, from what I understand. I'm not sure if they also provide services within the Philippines, no? Again, I don't know if you're at liberty to say this, but are those part of the POGO banning in your knowledge? If you don't know yet, then okay lang to say no, because that's also we will just wait for the executive order to come out, no? But if you are at liberty or knowledgeable whether those type of entities will be included in the ban, we would like to know if they're also banned.
Sir, I think after the drafting of the executive order, we'll be calling for a technical working group, and that's to include the PAGCOR and other agencies involved, sir. Just to make sure everything na kailangan dun sa executive order will be touched. Like yung sinabi niyo po, sir, I think that will be sa shop po, sir, ng PAGCOR yan. So the technical working group na patatawag po before the final draft will be released.
Okay. And then do you also know, again, no, whether you're liberty or not? You can decline to answer. How about the what we call e-gaming, the ones that are taking bets domestically? Are those included in the ban?
Again, sir, that will be part of the discussion with the PAGCOR, perhaps, sir, during
All right. Okay.
the TW.
Okay, not to preempt the executive order, but so the timetable, but definitely the timetable will be in the next 2 weeks. We'll just take note of the discussions here, you said, because kayo yung pinakamalapit to the palace, no? That's why we figured that you are the best person to give us some updates on the executive order, and I believe that the executive order will lay down the details on the complete banning of POGOs, no? Chairman, do you have any comments to that executive order? Meron ba kayong knowledge about that executive order, or it's also the same with Yusek Cruz?
Morning, Mr. Chairman. As far as we are concerned in PAGCOR, yung pong executive order will be really referring to the POGOs/IGLs. I had made this clear in hearings here in Congress, previous hearings here in Congress, and here in the Senate and in Congress, that what I am very sure of is that yung po kasing POGOs hindi na po namin sakop because these are already non-licensees, as we had canceled their licenses in as early as 2023, no? But what I want to make clear here, ang definitely po makasama is even the legal internet gaming licenses that we had renewed 41 of them in, if I'm not mistaken, the third quarter of year 2023. So definitely po kasama.
Itong bagong not bago no, but itong parang lumabas na special class PPOs, will they be included?
That I do not want to preempt.
Okay.
The,
Yeah, because that's
the process on the executive order, and I believe, Chairman, that is part of the discussions in the other committee headed by Senator Villar. In fact, I had been informed late last night that there will be a visit in I think 3 of these special class BPOs. And members of the Committee of Games here in the Senate will be part of the group that will visit, so that we're all able to understand better what really or what truly these SCBPOs are doing. Earlier, it was mentioned that here in AFAB that they also have these companies servicing the needs of gaming companies as far as Brazil, I could remember being mentioned, and India and Europe, no? And it was also emphasized here by the AFAB administrator that the companies that are operating in the AFAB area does not also take bets, but rather just service the backroom operations of the said companies. I think that is the same with CEZA, as mentioned by Secretary Enrile earlier, and it also goes for the SCBPOs that under my administration in PAGCOR, we have given close to about 16 licenses, 14 to 16 licenses. And truth and in fact, Mr. Chairman, there are now more companies applying, but we have suspended the processing of the said applications primarily because we want to make clear as to what will be part of the executive order that, according to USEC Cruz, will be issued in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Chairman, for that. So let's be clear about the fundamental difference between POGOs / online gaming versus special class BPOs / service providers. Just for the information of everyone who is interested in this topic, the special class BPOs / service providers do not accept pets.
Yes, you're right, Mr. Chairman. They do not accept any form of bets. Their main the main thing that they do is serve as backroom operations of big gaming, legitimate and big gaming companies based all over the world. And one of the requirements we have set in the application process is for these companies to submit to PAGCOR the copies of their contracts with the said companies they are servicing based outside the Philippines. I wish to take for everyone to take note also in your question whether they service Philippine-based. I would like to say that they do not. What we have been licensing in the last 2 years, Mr. Chairman, are companies that service overseas gaming companies. And most, if not all, our present licensees service land-based operators coming from the different parts of the world.
For that, I can see Administrator Katrina nodding her head. Is it the same in CEZA? You mentioned earlier that CEZA is a host to interactive gaming service support providers. Are those the same as special class BPOs? In a sense?
More or less, we just give content, technical support, and IT support.
There's no betting.
No bets at all because we don't have inbound. Our ISP is only outbound. We block any inbound traffic. That is the difference between PAGCOR and us because PAGCOR uses Smart Globe. We have our own internet service provider. So everything is just outbound. So we also know because of the bandwidth, what's happening to each and every locator that's there.
Employees, how many people are working in that interactive gaming?
2,800.
2,800. And how do you monitor if they're not getting bets? Because doon na yung, I would assume, everything is there except the bets.
They're not because everything is just outbound. Nothing comes
okay.
in.
So that is the...
We have geofencing. We have we geofence. And we can block IP addresses because we own our own internet service provider within the zone. Yun ang kaibahan po namin sa iba. They use commercial like Globe, PLDT Smart, Converge, or whatever. We have our own ISP provider.
And is it the same with AFAB? I heard earlier that AFAB is also a host to service providers. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
How many service providers are... There's no POGOs, no?
No, none,
Wala
Mr.
rin
Chairman.
e-gaming.
Wala po.
So also service providers.
Service provider.
How many service providers
They
are
have been there since they started setting up since year 2016. So when I was appointed last year, nadyan na po sila.
How many are there?
Around
How many
1,700 plus.
Service providers?
No, sorry. Service providers po, we only have three.
Three service providers,
Yes.
but they employ... how many?
Yung isa po, they employ 1,700 plus.
Just one?
Filipino.
All
Filipinos.
three?
Yes,
All
Your
three?
Honor. Yes, all three combined. And all Filipinos, Bataeños po, locals. And most of the foreigners, no, are the visas that we issued are more on Brazilians, Indians, Europeans. Wala hong Chinese na contract. So mostly from Southern America and India and UK ang
Contracts.
yes ang operations.
All right.
Yes.
So they service this gaming companies
Yes.
in...
Yes, they serve as tech support from front end to back end operations of the so-called gaming operations register abroad. Because one of these companies, I think, is into game designing or design of gaming platforms. So they act as tech support for these so-called gaming platforms.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the Committee on Games is actually in the midst of studying the special class BPOs, and I confirm the statement of Chairman Tenko that there's an undertaking now by the Committee on Games to study this very carefully, because after the pronouncement of the President, this special class BPOs/service providers came about, no? Even though they've been there since 2016 and even earlier, but the Committee on Games is now studying that very carefully, and hopefully it can also make recommendations as to how to package or how to present the special class BPO in relation to the POGOs and online gaming. Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, one very important facet that we have to note is that the ratio of Filipino versus foreign workers. Doon po sa doon po sa POGO, as I had mentioned in previous hearings, no, it is a 1-to-1 ratio today. Used to be more foreigners, foreign workers on a ratio of 2 out of 3. But today it's 1:1. Dito po sa isasara nating mga POGO. Dito po sa BPOs, sa SC BPOs, 95% po nito. Requirement po ng guidelines ng PAGCOR. Kailangan po manggagawang Filipino or Filipino workers. So, yun po ang malaking pagkakaiba ng POGO dito po sa SCBPO. Dahilan nga sa wala pong mga banyagang manggagawa halos dito. Ang totoo po, yung foreign workers dito mostly, Mr. Chairman, ay mga supervisors or managers. Pero yung pong, or translators, ano po. Pero yung pong manggagawa, yung mismong call center agents, 99% po nun Filipino. 98 to 99. And then, bumababa na lang po yung average dahil nga sa meron silang mga supervisors, translators, or di kaya naman mga high-ranking officers sa kumpanya na banyaga o foreigners. So, I think that is the big difference. Dahil dito po naman sa POGO o sa IGL/POGO, ang call center agents po doon, nakararami po ay foreigners because they are the ones accepting the calls or the bets being placed from outside the Philippines. So, if you mentioned earlier the China market, then wala pong duda't walang question na ang kailangan pong sumagot ng telepono or ng tawag ay isang Chinese national. Dahil hindi naman po nakakaalam ang karamihan ng mga Pilipino na makapagsalita or makaintindi ng wikang Banyaga or Chinese language. So, I just thought it would be good to emphasize that isa po yun sa dapat na mabigyan ng konsiderasyon. Yung nakalalamang po at 95% po ang requirement. Kaya meron po kasing pagbabahala na many thought that those who are in the IGL POGO business will move to the SCBPO. Hindi po talaga maaaring maganap yun. Dahil yung nga pong ratio ng foreigner at Filipino hindi po magtutugma. If you're talking of just talking of a number, we're talking about 100,000 foreign nationals. Then, following the ratio of 95% Filipino and 5% foreigners, then you'll have to have hundreds of thousands of Filipinos there. That these people who will attempt and which I mean this early I will say PAGCOR will not allow, but I think that is a very major consideration in this SCBPO license arrangement with PAGCOR, and I believe as mentioned by Secretary Enrile and Administrator Pangandaman earlier, nakararami po talaga Pilipino. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, based on the data you submitted to us, tama ba? 83,000?
Hindi po.
How many are working in special class BPOs?
5 lang po.
5,000?
5,000
Okay.
lang po. A total of 5,038 As of August 31, Mr. Chairman, there are 4,000, close to 5,000 Filipinos, 4,901, and you have 137 foreign nationals of different nationalities. So we have a total of about 5,100 more or less, Mr. Chairman.
So for if PAGCOR has 5,000 and then the CEZA has 2,008 and then AFAB has 1,700. So more or less about 10,000.
Yes,
more or less.
Mr. Chairman, that is what I have been espousing in the last hearings. We're looking here at about 10,000 Filipino
Across
workers.
the different IPAs and PAGCOR.
Yes, Mayor. And as I had mentioned, we have suspended the issuance of new licenses, and that decision emanated from the pronouncement of the President in the last SONA. So immediately I had suspended the processing of applications. Madami pa pong gustong mag-apply, substantiated by all the requirements, yung sinasabi ko sa inyong contracts earlier, and the ratio of the number of Filipinos versus foreign nationals. So I just want also to wait for the issuance of the executive order para malaman po nga kung makakasama ito sa maaaring ma-exempt. At tulad ng nabanggit ko kanina at inyong kinumpirma, malaki po siguro ring magiging impact dito yung pagbisita natin sa darating na Biyernes. Kasama ninyo at ang ilang miyembro ng Committee ng Games sa Senado para kayo po mismo ay makita ninyo kung ano nga ba talaga ang operation ng isang SCBPO na may lisensya sa CEZA, sa AFAB, gayon din naman po na linilisensyahan ng PAGCOR.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to Administrator Katrina and Administrator Pangandaman for sharing with us your activities on the special class BPO/service providers. And again, this is something that the Committee on Games will be studying and undertaking to understand. And definitely what we, at least personally, and what this committee has been recommending since 2022 is to ban POGOs. And the definition of POGOs is entities that take bets outside of the Philippines. No? So mayroon siyang gambling activity. No? So we'll leave this topic of SCBPOs for now, and the Committee on Games is also doing its own due diligence on that. And we will one time or later on a later time, we will make our recommendation as to how to approach the SCBPOs. And considering that almost 10,000 Filipinos work in this type of business, one of our goals is to generate jobs for our countrymen. So we will go into the topic of online gaming, particularly e-games. And I also understand none of the IPAs have e-games, no? Even PEZA. Tama po ba, attorney? Do you have BPOs? But are those BPOs are the ones that we know it, no? As we know it, the ones that answer telephone calls and do backroom operations. But do you have any e-gaming companies in PEZA?
None, Your Honor. In fact, their activities are varied and none of which is on gambling or gaming, Your Honor.
Okay. And I want to drill down on, and I thank PAGCOR again for providing us some information. And just to get our data correct, in 2023, tama po ba, the PAGCOR earned 22 billion from e-gaming?
Opo. Tama po kayo, Mr. Chairman. From electronic gaming in 2023, the highest ever, PAGCOR generated 22.5 billion more or less, Mr. Chairman. Yun po yung naging share na ng PAGCOR.
And this is in the form of regulatory fees.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the gross gaming revenue counterpart of the said license fees is about 60 billion more or less.
How much is the what is the regulatory regime and the fees that are being imposed on e-gamings? What are the major
There are just two, basically, ang classifications po ay generally, as of today, Mr. Chairman, I just, as I had reported also in previous hearings, we have brought down the rates from a high of about 52.5 to 55. Today, we are down to 35% for brick and mortar licensees. I'm referring to those licensees that just have small offices, and 30% as of today for the integrated resorts, because they have invested in facilities, in personnel, and they have a bigger operation, Mr. Chairman.
let me just get it correctly, Chairman. You 35%
Of the GGR.
of the GGR.
Yes, of
So
gross
PAGCOR-
gaming revenue.
PAGCOR takes 35% of the GGR
Yes.
from e-gaming companies.
From electronic gaming companies. So basically, there will be two classifications, Mr. Chairman. First being the brick and mortar, yung regular licenses po, 35% po yun. At yung mga land-based casinos naman, kasama po kasi sa kanilang operations ngayon yun, ay 30% sa pangkasalukuyan.
So yung mga, for example, the ones we see here in the Bay Area. Yung
The
mga
Entertainment City area,
Entertainment City area.
PAGCOR charges them 30, ang license fees po nila ay 30%. 30% po ng kanilang GGR for electronic gaming. Hindi po kasama yung kanilang license fees for their land-based operations. No?
So these entities, itong mga nasa entertainment cities, they also have e-gaming.
Dito po sa Entertainment City, lahat po except one who does not have an operation for electronic gaming.
How is it connected to their regular physical gaming? Is there any connection between their e-gaming and their table games?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, the only connection there is that ang kanila pong mga customers ay paglabas sa property nila, nagkakaroon po ng pagkakataon or meron po silang mga normally loyalty cards or membership cards. Lahat po yun, halos yun na rin ang pinapatronize na internet gaming company na kung maglalaro man sila sa labas. So I think that's the only connection, no? But in terms of games that are being played inside the casino, there's no connection. Meron din po silang e-slots, no? So meaning they can play slot machines outside the casino premises. So basically, it is an extension, Mr. Chairman, of their land-based operations. That being the trend, not only in the Philippines today, but worldwide. If your committee would do further research, you would note that most of the big land-based operators based in US and Canada, I'm referring to, let's say, Las Vegas being the hub of gaming in the United States. Most, if not all, have online gaming operations. That much I can report to this committee and to everyone who's present here this morning or those who are listening to this hearing this morning. It also goes for those who are in Canada, those who are those who have operate land-based casinos in Europe. Ganun din po. Meron na po talagang online gaming component yung operations. And I can share with you, Mr. Chairman, that this is the trend. And I think this will be the future of gaming. And most jurisdictions, again, for further validation of your committee, most jurisdictions around the world are legalizing online gaming. Even the first world countries, I'm talking of Germany, Italy, well, of course, the US, United States, and Canada, they are already legitimizing, or they have laws now that authorize online gaming. Even Brazil, for example, is a very big market.
Where the service providers, I guess, come in, no? Because these countries are legalizing and liberalizing, and this is where the service providers come into play in terms of providing backroom operations.
Yun po, kaya ang sinasabi ko po rito, ang nakikita ko po sa SCBPO, Mr. Chairman, palaki po ito eh. Ito po sunrise industry. And that would mean the generation of more jobs for our kababayans here in the Philippines. More jobs for the Filipinos. Kasi maliwanag po rito, Mr. Chairman, this is a sunrise industry. Dahil ngayon pa lang po nag-aanunsyo ang iba't ibang jurisdictions around the world na linilegalize na po nila ang online gaming.
Chairman, I am looking at the data. Now, electronic gaming is, correct me if I'm wrong, about 30% of PAGCOR's revenue?
Mahigit na po.
More than 30%.
Po, for 2024, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing about 35%.
About 35% of the total PAGCOR revenue.
Total pie.
And PAGCOR's revenue is how much? 60 billion?
Last year po 83.
83.
Ang nakikita ko po this year, Mr. Chairman, first time in the history of PAGCOR, papatong po, abot po tayo ng mga 100 billion pesos. So if we're talking of 35% of the pie, this online gaming segment or sector in the revenue stream of PAGCOR will contribute about 35 billion pesos. Ang gusto ko pong iulat sa inyo, Mr. Chairman, na from January to August of this year alone, close to 30 billion na po ang revenue ng PAGCOR being generated from the online gaming industry. So, ngayon pa lang unang 8 buwan ng taon yan. May 4 na buwan pa po tayo.
Chairman, I'm just, to complete the analysis, my initial thoughts, these e-gamings, because relatively they're easier to deploy because they're all electronic. Do you see any cannibalization coming from the land-based casinos? See, the land-based casinos, they need to build hotels, they need to build facilities, no? They need to put big investments to build all of those convention centers, make it family-friendly, no? As opposed to the e-gaming companies, they probably have an office and a lot of computers, but basically they also compete with these land-based casinos. Based on your analysis, is there cannibalization from land-based casinos going to electronic gaming activities?
My answer to your question, Mr. Chairman, is a yes. And I believe that is the main reason why these land-based casinos, especially the integrated resorts, who, as you had mentioned, are spending for infrastructure. The requirement of PAGCOR for one to be given an integrated resort license, for example, is they have to spend a minimum of 1 billion US dollars, no? So, definitely, Mr. Chairman, meron pong epekto sa kanila yan. Pero, sabi ko nga po kanina, ang sa akin pong at sa PAGCOR team's analysis, dyan na po patungo talaga yung industriya ng gaming. At wala na pong recourse kung hindi sumabay na rin yung integrated resorts. Hindi po mawawala ang integrated resorts. Hindi lang dito sa atin kung hindi sa buong mundo. Dahil people would want to go for the personal experience. Yun po ang lalo na ngayon, kaya po defined dyan as integrated resort. Hindi na lang po kasi pumunta ka sa isang integrated resort para magsugal na lamang. Pwede ka na pong kumain, mamimili ka sa napakadaming mga restaurants nila. Gusto mong maranasan yung 5 to 6 star na mga hotel rooms and hotel hospitality na ipinagkakalob nila. Meron po silang mga shows, international ng mga artists. So, sa paniwala ko po, hindi po mawawala talaga yung land-based operations. Pero sa inyong katanungan kung naapektuhan ba yung benta ng land-based, wala pong ibang kasagutan na doon kundi opo, yes, naapektuhan. That's why sila na rin mismo lumalahok na sa online, protecting their customer base. Because yung customer nila halimbawang loyal guest nila, loyal patron, imbis na umuwi sa bahay, nasa sasakyan, or nasa opisina, gustong makapaglaro ng kung ano-anong o slot machine or anuman, imbis na sa iba pa, doon na dapat sa kanila yun, sa x.com resort. So, imbis na makannibalize at mawala pa yung customer na yun, Mr. Chairman, sa kanila na rin naglalaro yun. Kasi bilang card member, the more you play, the more points you will receive also. So, ang akin pong nakikita talaga, maliwanag po ay doon na talaga patungo ang industriya. Nakita natin at sa mga datos na ipagkakalob po ng PAGCOR sa committee ninyo, makikita nyo po, medyo nagplateau na yung revenue ng land-based. Yun namang sumasalo ng pagplateau na yon ay yung online gaming.
Hindi ba mas maganda, Chairman, to promote the land-based? Because the land-based puts in hard investments, diba? They build in facilities. In fact, I know some of the integrated facilities are PEZA accredited, diba, attorney? Like for example, in Newport, no? I think in Newport, may PEZA, merong mall, merong casino. The point of the matter there is they build facilities, no? And but at the same time, the casino becomes an added attraction for them. So, isn't it better to attract this type of investment? Yung talagang they put facilities because you have job generation for construction, you have job generation for the peripheral business like waiters, food, even yung mga utility, no? Utility lang alone, they hire hundreds and hundreds of utility as opposed to dun sa online gaming. Full disclosure, I haven't been to an online gaming office, but my imagination is saying that it's an office with a lot of computers and that's it, no? But they compete also with land-based casinos. No, the other one is employing, the other one is just an IT/e-gaming. Isn't it more productive to support these land-based casinos because they generate employment and investment for us? No? it's a policy question. It's Chairman. It's a policy question that I want to just pick your brains and see where PAGCOR is going, no, in terms of this type of businesses. Now, the other one is emerging, as you said, but the other one is also providing hard investments. So my question is, in your, I just want to know that from a policy standpoint, will this be a better policy to support the land-based casinos because they bring in hard investments?
Mr. Chairman, I 100% agree with you. Unfortunately, this new trend of electronic gaming is a reality that we are seeing not only in the Philippines but all over the world. And ang mahirap po dito, kung hindi po natin i-regulate, Mr. Chairman, yung industriyang ito, sa laki po ng industriya sa pangkasalukuyan, at maybe I will share with you, although this is unofficial because I'm talking of a gray market, we're looking here at anywhere from 200 to 200 billion peso industry. And Mr. Chairman, kung hindi po natin i-regulate ito, nakalulungkot mang sabihin sa lahat, tuloy din po ang hanap buhay nitong mga ito. Kaya minarapat ko na lang po na bigyan ng pansin, regulate it properly, and generate revenue for Philippine Amusement Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR, and which we give back to the country and to the Filipino people. So, Mr. Chairman, tama ho yun. Ako isang ayon doon. Ang nag-generate ng jobs ng mga integrated resorts, napakadami. Yung infrastructure, yung pong hindi lang job generation, yung support services lang. Meron ka na dyang utilities na binabayaran. I mean, napakalaki po talaga ng impact ng isang malaking integrated resort. May commitment to invest $1 billion. Wala po tayong pagtatalunan doon, Mr. Chairman. Ang akin lang po, at ito'y bibigyan lang natin ng diin sa hearing na ito, hindi po i-regulate ng PAGCOR yan. Sabi ko nandito ang ating mga law enforcement agency. Tuloy din po ang negosyong yan. At kung ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay 200 hanggang 250 bilyong piso na industriya, at 35%, ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito ay 70 to 80 billion pesos na revenue. So, yun na lang po ang naging struktura, yun na lang po ang ginawa namin. Might as well regulate them properly. In fact, Mr. Chairman, ang dami pong mga kumpanya ang gusto na pong magparehistro. Dati po silang unregistered or illegal. Dahil sa ibinaba po natin yung mga fees na pumantay lang tayo sa mga fees ng ibang mga regulatory companies abroad or in other jurisdictions, wala na pong pupuntahan yung hindi rehistrado or illegal kung hindi ang sumurrender na sa PAGCOR. Dahil yung margin po nila para sa kanilang mga pinagbibigay ng mga rebates at mga commission sa mga ahente, nawawala na po sa pangkasalukuyan. Kaya, pabalik lang po ako sa katanungan ninyo, ako po'y naniniwalang tama kayo na sana'y mas bigyan natin ng pansin yung mag-i-invest ng mga integrated resorts. Kaya lang naman po talagang riniregula na ng mabuti ng PAGCOR yung industry. Maski po anong gawin natin, ang natitiyak ko po ay magpapatuloy itong illegal na operation. Kitang-kita po nung po ako nag-assume ng office 2 years ago, 12.8 billion lang po ang GGR noon. Nito pong 2023, nung binaba ko po yung fees, 28 billion po, naging 58 billion po. So, dun lamang po halos times 5 na. Sa taong ito po, hindi po bababa sa 100 billion ang magiging GGR. So, magsimula po nung ako'y na-appoint ng chairman ng PAGCOR hanggang matapos ang taon to, ang paniwala ko po 800% to 1,000% ang magiging increase ng GGR. Pagpapatunay lang po na ganun ka laki po yung industriya na hindi nare-regulate itong mga nakaraang taon.
Thank you. Attorney Romero, you want to interject? Any comments to that?
Yeah, comments, Mr. Chair. Yes, PEZA registers these tourism enterprises and the investments really are big. And what we register are the hotel aspect, the resort, the theme park, for example, museum, art galleries, the health and wellness facilities, the sports and recreational center, those areas, Your Honor, but not the casino portion, but the gaming portion. And if I may say, Your Honor, that these registered tourism enterprises are a big come-on also to our foreign investors, because when we ask them what are the factors that they want to choose the Philippines in coming here, they consider also the existence of this first class, globally, the excellent service of our tourism enterprise as one of the reasons to come here also.
Thank you for that. Going back to the comment of chairman, what the chairman saying, if we don't regulate this, they will just go underground, no? Because the temptation is so big and the money, the gross gaming revenue is so big that if we don't regulate it, and the way you regulated it, but it's by making the regulatory fees competitive. In turn, they surfaced and applied to PAGCOR, no? And we can see that in the numbers that PAGCOR's collection from electronic gaming has grew, no? From in 2021 is only 6.3 billion. In 2022 now is 2023 is now 22.4 billion. No? So that's the it grew almost 100%, no, over the last 2 years. No? So in other words, the potential is there, and the risk of them going underground is much greater if we don't regulate them. But just to put on table that my view as someone in finance and also chairing this committee who's in charge of investments, no? Because our goal in the Ways and Means Committee is to bring in investments. In fact, this was a big debate when we allowed work from home for, alam ng PEZA ito, no, to work from home for IT BPOs, because we capped it at 50% because we want investors to still build buildings, no, instead of full work from home. So that was a big debate here in the Senate. In the same token with land-based casinos, we want investors to build the facilities, because those building facilities will bring in, of course, concrete investments and the facilities around it, as opposed to the gaming, just the purely online gaming. And that's a balancing act and a policy decision that I will leave to PAGCOR. I'm just putting that on the table for now. Some thinking points for PAGCOR and for us to think about, because if there's cannibalization that is happening, then these land-based casinos are at the losing end. No? Of course, the best case scenario, two of them will grow. The best case scenario. I'll jump to BIR because we're talking about revenues generating. May I call on Attorney Edgar Reyes? How much are we collecting from online gaming companies? From e-games in particular. How much are we collecting from e-games? E-games, these are just e-games, not POGOs. Let's do away with POGOs. That's already a policy. There's already policy to ban it. So we're just focusing on online gaming, or what we call e-games.
Sure, we have preliminary data. Unfortunately, it's still being validated and undergoing cleansing of data.
Okay. You submitted two numbers to us, no? I'm not very sure which one to take. Based on your initial submission to us, it's 1.6 billion. Is that correct? And then I just received information today. It's 13 billion in terms of tax collection. 2023 muna, no? Just 2023. Asset Carlo, maybe you want to enlighten us on this, because there's a PAGCOR component as regulatory fees. There's tax component in the form of gaming fees, no? So magkano yung gaming fees being collected, or gaming tax being collected by the BIR? Only on e-gaming, just e-gaming.
Mr. Chair, yes, I can confirm the 13.3 billion pesos in 2023, but this is highly preliminary. Since we're seeing some inconsistency as well with the data provided by PAGCOR, such as, for instance, the gross gaming revenue for the e-games is in the 60 billion pesos. But if you take a look at the income tax, it's only in the millions of pesos. So there's still some inconsistencies. So we're still cleaning the data, sir. But the latest one is the 13.3 billion as of 2023, but it is highly preliminary, sir.
Mm-mm. So we'll just use that means it can still go up, diba? Kumbaga floor na itong 13 billion.
Yes,
Correct.
Mr. Chair. And if you remember, sir, kasi sa POGO in 2023, it's 10 billion.
Correct.
And if you take a look at the income of PAGCOR, POGO share is only around 3 to 4%.
Correct. Yeah.
On the other hand, for e-game, it's 30+%.
Okay.
So we're still, again, it's highly preliminary and we're updating the data, sir.
Okay. But let's take 13 billion as a floor, and of course, the bigger the better for government. But you agree that the 13 billion is the floor. It can still go up. It will not go down anymore, considering that the GGR, gross gaming revenue from PAGCOR, has already reached 60 billion pesos.
Mr. Chair, highly likely it will be the floor.
Okay. So 13 billion for that, so which is very substantial. In fact, in 2021 is only 2.7 billion. In 2022 it's 8.5. Now it's 13.3. So the trend is similar to PAGCOR, and it can still go up in that case. And in what form are we charging the e-gaming companies? Anong kanilang tax regime, Attorney Reyes? In short. I can see here franchise tax or gaming tax. That is the biggest component. Is that the biggest component of their tax regime?
Sir, as per our initial data, it is the biggest chunk of their tax regime.
What it is the rate of their franchise tax? Go ahead.
As far as I know, it's 5% franchise tax, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so it's 5%
5% for
franchise tax. So
Yes.
5% franchise tax to PAGCOR, and then to BIR, and then 30-35 to PAGCOR. Good.
tipo sa atin and 5% po galing sa BIR.
Sa BIR.
So total po, halos 5%. And lately, part of what we're doing, I just want to share with you, Mr. Chairman. PAGCOR now, just like what we did in the POGO industry, IGL POGO industry, we are now providing BIR with our data of GGR para po, like ma'am, hopefully they're able to also have a copy of what we're generating. Nang sa ganun, ma-monitor po nila yung mga kumpanya na licensees natin.
Tama ba? Franchise tax is 5% on gross gaming revenue due to BIR, and then 30% of gross gaming revenue due to PAGCOR.
Yes.
Parang lugi ang BIR. BIR yata mas malaki. No, but again, that's a policy question. No? We'll talk. It's something that we can talk about later on. No, but at least the point there is in both, whether PAGCOR or BIR, it's the same pocket naman yan. It's government's pocket. No? So, but the trend is the same. But what I wanted to point out, that both the collection of PAGCOR and the collection of BIR is growing at a phenomenal rate, no, 100%. So, and we want to get the validation from the final number from the BIR on the franchise tax being collected, and also the other taxes being collected by BIR. Beefer. Kaninang kinuha nyo eh. So, but for now, it's 13 billion. Actually, from, tama ba ito, Sec? From January to July, meaning first half, it's already 10 billion in terms of collection. Ganun kalaki?
Yes, Mr. Chair, 10.7, similar to the trend provided by the PAGCOR.
Yeah, so if we, by all things equal, the full year can reach about 20 billion. More or less, more or less lang.
Yes, Mr. Chair, 15 to 20 billion.
No, ang BIR collection.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. So it seems like meron ng kapalit ang POGO. No? Kahit wala na yung POGO, pinalitan naman ng e-games, no? So all right, and so we've talked about the revenue being generated by online gaming / e-gaming. Would like to ask, of course, when you talk about gaming, it will not be complete if we don't talk about also the other side of gaming. No, that's normal in gaming / gambling. No, meron talagang negative side ang gambling. No? Well, that's really the nature of this industry, and a lot of jurisdictions just manage the downside of gambling. They implement anti-addiction programs. They implement stricter regulation in terms of the minimum betting, also who can bet, who can enter casinos, who can play on online gaming, and that's what we want to discuss with our enforcers. In fact, last time we talked about, we asked the opinion of our colleagues from the PNP, and they mentioned that they are not in favor, no, of online gaming. May I also again ask the PNP their opinion on the bill, particularly on online gaming or e-gaming? Yung POGO, we already, ano na yan, no? That's already a ban. So we want to focus on e-gaming. And I remember during the last hearing, your official statement your official statement is also to ban e-gaming. No? So I want to ask again whether that statement remains the same on the part of the PNP.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. On the part of the PNP, we submitted our position paper last August 30 with special concerns on like the definitions of bet or wager and internet gaming or online gambling. So on the part of the PNP, we would like to declare that the provision on repeal of authority to regulate online gambling are too broad, that this may encompass the operations of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. Prudence dictates that the definitions provided should be studied further so that other games subject to chance will not be adversely affected unless the intent of the legislation is to prohibit all forms of online gambling without exemptions. Number 2, on the penalty imposable, the degree of participation or involvement of the would-be violator should be specifically defined and penalized accordingly, such as whether a abettor, B coordinator, controller, or supervisor, the C operator, whether local or international. A recommended penalty of 6 years and 1 day as a minimum so that it is not subject to probation. Letter D, personnel or staff of online gambling operations. Letter E, social media outlets like Facebook, Messenger, Viber, Telegram, or similar online platforms that allow or facilitate knowingly or deliberately the operations of online gambling. And letter F, GCash, Cebuana, Palawan, Emily and other similar bayan centers that place, receive, or transmit a bet or wager on live streaming or broadcasting on online gambling. Include number 3, recommendation, Mr. Chair, include as part of the penalty imposable that confiscated machinery, equipment, tools, and or bet money in online gambling operations shall be forfeited in favor of the government. And lastly, number 4, to include in the provision to be inserted in the bills, the Cybercrime Division of the National Bureau of Investigation, Anti-Cybercrime Group of the Philippine National Police, and other law enforcement agencies shall monitor, conduct motu proprio investigation or upon complaint, and prosecute all responsible persons, including the social media or internet provider, Mr. Chair. That would be all for the PNP, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Colonel Arceo, I remember last time the PNP representative, I'll get the name later, categorically stated that the PNP's position is to ban e-gaming. Is that, does that still stay?
Actually, after that hearing, Mr. Chair, the PNP had a meeting. That's why we had our position that it will be regulated, Mr. Chair. Not all online gaming, Mr. Chair.
When I say online gaming, these are the e-games. These are yung mga nakikita natin sa phone who takes bets here in the Philippines. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So you change your position from total ban to regulation. Is that the official position? Let me just make it clear. And the representatives last time was General Tataka, Colonel Tuliao, and Colonel De Castro, as well as Colonel Valmonte. I think it was General Tataka who made this comment last time. And then pala si Colonel Tuliao. No? So are you saying that you have changed your position from banning to regulation? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And why is that so? Kasi I remember that was a strong statement and that's why naalala ko siya. But why change? Why is the PNP changing your position?
Mr. Chair, the ACG will answer.
That's why we seek the support of other units, sir, in this particular stand
That's why in the second paragraph of our position paper, sir, we have here that PNP supports the wisdom of the legislature in pursuing the foregoing legislative measures. It is without question that addictive behaviors like gambling have devastating effect on individuals, families, and their community, and have enormous socio-economic impacts on the national and global level. The use of online platform compounds the negative effects of this menace by providing easier access to gambling sites and electronic money transfers. The welfare of the Filipino people should not be sacrificed for the economic benefits derived from the operations of these organizations. And yun na yung following paragraph that was already stated by Colonel Arceo, sir.
So in short, based on your position report, position paper, you did not change your position. Kasi it's here, categorically, you said, the PNP supports the wisdom of the legislature in pursuing the foregoing legislative measures. And the legislative measure calls for total ban of online gaming. Diba? Huwag kayong mahiya kay Chairman Tenko. Alam ko, baka nahiya lang kayo, nandyan siya. Don't be, huwag kayong mahiya. No? This is trabaho lang naman to. Wala namang personalan. Diba? Huwag kayong mahiya sa kanya. No, that's why we're weighing it. In fact, the committee has no position yet. Wala kaming position. We're weighing since POGO ban na yan. Yan position namin. Yung e-gaming we're still weighing and they were studying. That's why it's very important to hear from our police force. Mamaya tatanungin natin ang PAOK on their position because just like POGO na nakita natin in social ills. And the social ills of POGO does not come in the form of addiction in the Philippines, but in the form of criminal, hardcore criminal activities. In this case, I agree with you. The negative effects of e-gaming will come in the form of addiction in gambling. So that's why we want to hear from the police force themselves, being the enforcers, their official position. And in this case, again, I'll put it on record that you did not reverse your position. You maintain that the PNP supports the wisdom of the legislature in pursuing the foregoing legislative measures, which is to ban it. And that's fine. Kung yan ang position ninyo, dahil at the end of the day, kayo rin ang lalapitan ng taong bayan kung may problema. And we also requested from the PNP, have you encountered any criminal activities related to e-gaming? Sa POGO kasi very clear yung reporting nyo Talagang you track down human trafficking, the victims. But in e-gaming, meron bang nag-report sa inyo? For example, marami kasi anecdotal, to be honest about it. Marami yung, especially nung nangyari yung e-sabong, di ba? Marami yung nagbebenta ng anak, na may mga ganun, na nabaon sa utang, and then ng hold up. Maraming mga ganun na news reports lumalabas that time. But these are obviously anecdotal. But officially, how many e-gaming incidents related to crime have the PNP received over the past maybe 2 to 5 years?
Mr. Chair, for now, we don't have the information or the data. Maybe we can provide your committee on this. We will check with the Directorate for Investigation and Detective Management if there are any cases related to that matter, Mr. Chair.
And meron bang from off top, meron ba kayong being police officers, have you received any complaints about e-gaming, whether from your own police force or from our communities? Just off top lang.
There's no reports, but we heard like in those persons engaged in investments But we don't have the specific reports on that, Mr. Chair. But rather, we only have from the word of mouth that there are some personal engagement on that. But the PNP already issued the countermeasures, like we during random inspections, our chief of police are being directed to conduct random inspections on the cell phones of their personnel to check on online apps, if there are online gaming apps on their cell phones, to ensure that our personnel are no longer engaged in online games, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well, it seems to me that it's not as prevalent as the POGOs. Nevertheless, there are anecdotal news reports about criminal activities or crime related to e-gaming. Maybe not as pronounced as POGOs, but there is some, no? And please submit to us records related to e-gaming, yung mga nare-report sa inyo connected to that. I want to also ask PAOK on their opinion, Yusek Cruz, on your opinion on the proposed measure, focusing on e-gaming. I think in POGO is that's already a policy decision. Any comments on the e-gaming, Yusek?
Your Honor, we have that not much information as to the e-gaming compared to the records and data of the Philippine National Police and other law enforcement agencies. We focus more on POGO operations, Your Honor, during the few months. Kaya sir, kulang kami ng data. So as to the e-gaming, sir, di po ako makapag-comment.
Do you have any information, POGOs transferring to e-gaming, POGOs transferring to service providers? I know you have, your intelligence network is vast and quite extensive. So do you have that information? Movement from POGOs to e-gaming?
We have information, Your Honor, as our experience. If ever, sir, namin I think that there was 2 instances that we raided a POGO hub that meron silang mga online gamings na ini-sponsor nila in other countries like India and China, even Taiwan. Meron dun, sir, sa mga computers nila ng mga online gamings. And I think yun lang, pang front lang po yung ginagawa, sir, ng mga POGO. If ever there'll be inspectors from PAGCOR or some agencies, yun ang pakikita nila. But not really, yung mga POGOs kasi, sir, may front sila lagi. Pag sa inspection na ginagawa, sir, ng PAGCOR, yun siguro yung papakita nila, they are involved in e-gaming, but in reality, sir, it's all scamming activities. And that's our experience sa mga raids po na ginawa namin sa mga POGO hubs. So, not really na nag-i-indulge sila, sir, sa online gaming, but yung scamming talaga.
Yusek, yung mga service providers. I haven't been to a service provider yet, no, but I'm just speculating at this point. Can the service providers be used as a front for POGOs? Is that possible? Just speculating, just to throw this on the table.
Sa pag-aaral namin, sir, though di talaga kami tumabaho, sir, ng mga special class BPOs na yan, sir. But tingin ko, sir, hindi po pwede, sir.
How come based on your analysis, how come it's not possible?
Hindi yung sir, yung ginagamit nila, sir, is kakaiba talaga, sir. The system that they are using is not really compatible with the systems that being used by mga POGO operators. Magkaiba, sir.
And you don't think that after the shutdown, after December, these POGO personalities will move into the e-gaming / service providers. Kasi e-gaming is attracting local
Yes.
bets, no?
Yes, sir.
But I would assume, again, I'm venturing into speculation, I would assume the setup is the same. My computers, my, the gadgets.
I think, sir, it would be more comfortable to them sa mga POGO workers o yung mga POGO operators na smaller version nila ng POGO, hiding inside maybe condominiums or apartments or mga bahay-bahay, but not going dun sa mga special class PPOs na yun. Kasi sir, it's already recorded eh. And definitely, anytime sir, pwede silang puntahan ng PAGCOR and they don't want those hassles sir na gawin na mahaharas sila eh. So I think sir, it would be better for them na punta na lang sila sa isang bahay, mag-rent sila ng isang bahay or isang floor na condominiums, which is nangyayari na ngayon sir. Some of them are really in houses na lang sir.
Also, the service providers and e-gamings are mostly Filipinos. I think that's the minimum
And-
requirement, 95%. So if you see foreigners there, then obviously it's
Yes, sir.
iba na.
Medyo now they're more uncomfortable na po sila sir pag may mga Pilipino silang katrabaho, especially those who are involved in in POGO operation. Ayaw nila sir, gusto nila sila lang. That's why sir sa mga POGO operations naka-isolate talaga sir yung POGO farm nila, yung scam farm nila sir, naka-isolate talaga in small buildings.
Thank you, Sec. How about NBI? Any comments to the bill?
Good afternoon. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. So, Mr. Chair, the NBI has been proactive since 2015 in this crackdown of POGO operations. If I remember, during this year's 2015, ang POGO operation po natin talagang purely gambling. So, papasok po tayo sa isang building, panay Chinese po yan, and talagang gambling po ang ino-operate nila. May marirecover po tayo mga credit card swiper, maraming credit card na galing China, and then nagfo-focus po sila sa mga clients sila from China. And talagang gambling lang po. Lately lang po, ito pong mga POGO, it became a common term, but actually POGO is now a scam hub. So scamming activities na po ang ginagawa nila. Kung mapapansin nyo po yung mga 2015 po na operation po ng NBI, 2015, 2016, 2017, mostly po yan, mga POGO operations po yan. These are all gambling operations. So based on that, mga operations namin, I think POGO operations could shift into online gaming operations because parehas naman po ang setup niyan. The only thing na nagde-develop po ay dahil po ngayon meron na po tayong mga digital banking platforms which make it easier for money transfers. So it is also possible for this kind of operations, itong mga POGO operators natin, to shift into domestic e-gaming. And now and they could also cater to yung mga local clients na local na mga kliyente po, not only to clients coming from China.
Based on your analysis, Attorney Angluben, these POGO entities, there's a possibility for these POGO entities to morph or to move into the e-gaming, which basically caters to the domestic market, based on your observation and analysis.
Yes, Mr. Chair. But this time, of course, they need to employ Filipino employees. O kung magkikater po tayo sa mga local na bettors. Unlike before na yung POGO po, nagkikater lang po sa mga Chinese bettors.
I think that's another phenomenon that they try to avoid, no, hiring local. Tama ba, Yusek Cruz? Kasi once you hire local, you're exposed now to local information, no? So normally nakita rin namin na sila lang, no, mga foreigners. But based on NBI's cybercrime division, there's a possibility that they will move into the e-gaming
Yes, Mr. Chair.
industry.
It's the same setup being used for POGO operations, just converting it to e-gaming so that it could cater to local bettors, domestic bettors.
Thank you for that comment from the NBI. To AMLAC, Attorney Arpon, any comment on again, no, just focus on e-gaming, wag na yung sa POGO. Any analysis on the e-gaming industry from AMLAC?
Good morning po, Your Honor. There are PAGCOR supervised entities, Your Honor, which are registered with the AMLC. And these are e-games, e-bingo, and poker. But Your Honor, with respect to the Senate bills under consideration, whether or not this online gaming will be banned, Your Honor, we submit the same to the discretion of the Senate. But for the POGO, Your Honor, we have been actively investigating the money laundering aspect of the same since last year, in particular since the start of the POGO in Clark, Your Honor.
For the e-gaming, have you detected any unusual activity, any from the covered persons or the covered entity? Have they reported any suspicious transaction or any unusual activities? This is in relation to e-gaming, not POGOs, e-gaming.
Yes, Your Honor. As I have previously mentioned, there are PAGCOR supervised, and thus far we have not received suspicious transactions.
Can you also, can we request an analysis of the e-gaming, a deeper analysis on that? For now, you have not received any suspicious report in relation to e-gaming, but can we request a much thorough analysis on that?
On the e-gaming, Your Honor.
E-gaming lang.
And so far as those which are registered before the AMLC, would that be?
Include until now, no? Before and until now. No? Because there are 45 e-gaming entities. 45 service providers. How many ang e-gaming? 80, I think there's 84 e-gaming entities. No? So we want to get a report from AMLAC whether they're involved in any money laundering activities or any reports to that matter.
We'll do so, Your Honor.
But for now, there's no report.
There's none, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for that. You also have a representative from IACAT, the Interagency Council Against Trafficking. Any comment?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Insofar as the department is concerned, our database only shows violation for RA 9287, amending PD 1602. So we have not yet received any complaint regarding cases involving e-games. Yeah.
And in the same token, may request a much thorough backtracking of records if you have any information regarding e-gaming involved in trafficking, which is quite remote because they're Filipinos, you know. So, but nevertheless, just to complete our analysis, may we also get a backtracking of records to that effect.
We will comply, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. Just to complete our analysis, we also invited private sector representatives from e-gaming themselves and those who are involved in this industry. And we thank them for joining us today to share their thoughts on the matter, and also if they have any reactions, we would welcome that from them. So we start off with internet gaming licensees. Mr. Attorney Gaspar of Micro Info Systems. Attorney Gaspar, you're an e-gaming licensee. Tama ba?
No, Your Honor. Internet gaming licensee, Your Honor.
IGL.
Yes.
Okay. So you're an IGL licensee.
Yes, Your Honor. My
Okay.
client, Micro Info Systems Limited, is an IGL license, Your Honor.
Meaning they are POGOs.
Or used to be
Used to
POGOs,
be
Your Honor.
POGOs. So,
Yes.
na-rebrand into IGL.
Yes, Your Honor.
No, just to call it a spade, diba? And then, any comments? Okay, any comments? Since I've already recognized you, any comments on the proposed measures?
Well, the position of MISL, Your Honor, is that given the directive of the President to cease operations by the end of this year, they will of course comply with that, Your Honor. They are also coordinating with their the BPO so that the BPO will also cease operations by end of December, Your Honor. And they assured all of their affected employees that they will receive the statutory benefits of terminated employees, Your Honor.
Microsystems Limited, Micro Info Systems Limited, is a licensed IGL, and how many employees are being employed by Micro Info Systems?
It's unique in the sense, Your Honor, that it's a British Virgin Island company, Your Honor. So while it has a Philippine license, it operates abroad, Your Honor, to cater to foreign clients, Your Honor. So the bulk of the employees who will be affected, Your Honor, would be the BPO employees, Your Honor.
But for this company, it does not employ
It
Filipinos.
employs Filipinos, Your Honor, for compliance purposes, Your Honor. Like,
Okay.
for example, a representative for AMLA, for BIR representatives. But other than those compliance officers, Your Honor, no Filipino
and
employees, Your Honor.
and they engage a service provider, a BPO,
Yes, Your Honor.
for their backroom and gaming activities.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how many employees are
The
that
BPO has around 500 employees, Your Honor.
And which BPO is this?
It's Pacific Sea, Your Honor.
Pacific Sea. So in this case, since the directive is to already cease POGO/IGL, the 500 employees of Pacific Seas will also be terminated.
Yes, Your Honor, because the impression that they got is that with the directive, it also covers BPO services, Your Honor. But as we have discussed earlier, that is still not defined, Your Honor. So maybe that's something that I can relate to them so that maybe they can consider operating even after the ban if their operations will be allowed, Your Honor.
But aside from Micro Info Systems, does Pacific Sea have other clients?
No, Your Honor, it's exclusive to MISL, Your Honor. But during our discussions, Your Honor, I think it's also possible that they can also service another IGL if it's allowed, Your Honor.
Yeah. But the IGL will be terminated until end of the year.
Yes, Your Honor. But what they're trying to say is that they have the capability to service another licensee, a foreign licensee, Your Honor, because that's the way they do their business, Your Honor.
All right, I understood. Okay. Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We also invited service providers, Attorney Granado of Avantise Corporation. Any comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. It's Avantis, actually.
Avantis.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as Avantis is concerned, we're also will be fully compliant with the directive of the President. And we're actually in the works with the downgrading of the visas of our foreign employees, which will be done by October 15 this year. And then the company will be shut down. Well, not the company, the operations will be shut down by the end of the year, December.
Cater to IGLs or
Yes.
to e-gaming?
To an IGL also. So,
Okay. And how many employees do you have?
about 500.
Also 500.
Yes.
And may I ask, what specific service are you providing? Is it accounting service? Is it gaming service? Kasi I saw the list of service providers. There are a multitude of services or a list of different services being provided, no, from marketing to gaming to backroom. So in your case, what specific service are you providing?
So we're primarily doing customer support service or back end primarily customer base, so help, sort of like a help desk function for our client, for our IGLs.
And the 500 are mostly what nationality?
We have about 50-50 of Filipinos and foreign nationals.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the foreign are what nationality?
I don't have the data with me right now, but they're of various nationalities,
Okay.
Your Honor.
And how many clients do you have? Also one client?
Just one client.
Which one is this?
It's Best Commerce Corporation.
Thank you, Attorney Granado. We're also represented by Attorney Pangan, representing CASPO Incorporated, another service provider. Any comment?
Good morning, Your Honor. To clarify our business model for the honorable body, CASPO operates strictly as a business-to-business entity and not a business-to-customer company. This means that CASPO does not engage directly with individual consumers, nor do we accept consumer funds or wagers. Instead, we provide services such as sports event data, odds pricing, and odds information to other businesses, basically statistical data that our clients will need. Our clients are based in reputable international jurisdictions. We are strictly a service provider. Thank you.
For the service providers, may I ask, I heard earlier that majority or almost all of you have one client that you service. Is it possible for your company to move into the e-gaming industry or the e-gaming portion of the gaming industry? Is it possible to move into that?
I guess it's possible, but I don't think it's probable because the business model is different. We do not cater to customers. We only have clients as other businesses because they need data from us. That is the only thing we provide, Your Honor.
Mhm. How about getting other clients? For example, I heard earlier from Attorney Gaspar that it's possible that they can continue to get clients because your clients are here in the Philippines. But if, for example, if the special class BPOs will be allowed to operate, can your company still continue to get clients from outside of the Philippines? Good.
Yes, Your Honor, that's possible because we provide data. So it's possible for us to have several clients outside of the Philippines.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And we also have a representative from the gaming hubs, Attorney Ricalde of First Orient International Ventures Corp.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor.
Any comments? Attorney?
As a POGO hub, we will also comply with the directive of the President to cease operations by the end of the year, Your Honor.
Okay. And where's this located? First Orient. This is a hub. This is
Yes.
the location.
Sorry, Your Honor.
This is the location. This is not a service provider. It's a location.
No, it is a hub,
It's
Your
a hub.
Honor.
Okay.
Yes.
And where is this located?
It is in Covelandia Road, Barangay Pulverista, Binakayan, Cavite, Cavite, Your Honor.
Okay. And then I think I see that whenever I take the plane. I think everyone can't miss that, no? And all of those buildings there is owned by First Orient. Because I see a lot of buildings. There's buildings in front, there's parang warehouses at the back. So those are owned by one company? Is that how it's structured?
The buildings are owned by First Orient, Your Honor.
Okay. And then you mentioned that they will First Orient will comply with the pronouncement of the President. What will happen to those buildings?
I'm not exactly sure, Your Honor, about the exact plan of the management, but I think they will repurpose it to lease out as corporate offices, Your Honor.
Okay. And have you filed your termination
The letter to
letter to
cancel.
PAGCOR?
We intend to send the letter to cancel accreditation to PAGCOR by November 15, Your Honor, this
Okay.
year.
Just in time before the
Yeah.
year end.
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
All right. And how many Filipinos work in that facility?
Around 9,000 employees, Your Honor.
Filipinos.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And how many foreigners?
Around 6,000 employees, Your Honor, foreigners.
So about 15,000 work in that facility.
More or less. Your
More or
Honor.
less, yeah.
Yes.
More or less. Baka pwede nang balik na resort yun. Dati nakapunta na ako doon to, may mga fishing yun eh. But, andun pa ba yung fishing?
Meron pong
Meron naman.
natin.
Baka pwede na balik yung fishing. Alright. Any comments from our resource persons? Anyone who wants to comment on the bill, particularly on e-gaming? Meron kayong Commissioner Viado of the Bureau of Immigration, any comments po?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Commissioner in charge?
I am the officer in charge.
Officer in charge.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor, and to the distinguished guests. And thank you for inviting us. As far as the bill on e-gaming is concerned, we would like to express and reiterate our full support to the same. And if required to give our official position on the matter, we will confer with our mother agency, Your Honor.
Thank you. And for on the part of Bureau of Immigration, you're
Yes, Your
supporting the ban on e-gaming. We're already saying
The pending bill, yes.
yeah, because there's now two bills. The one on purely on POGOs by Senator
Yes,
Joel,
sir.
and we'll pursue that.
Yes, Your Honor.
The other one was on online gaming, which includes e-gaming, and you're supporting that ban also on e-gaming.
We support, yes.
And how come? I just want to
I'm just reiterating the support given earlier by our representative. But if we need to submit a more detailed position on the matter, we will comply with whatever is going to be directed to us by this honorable committee.
because as far as I know, e-gaming employs mostly Filipinos. So
Yes.
obviously the interaction with the Bureau of Immigration is not as pronounced as POGOs. No?
That's correct, Your Honor. As stated by the representative from the NBI, most of the employees are Filipinos.
Mm.
So the enforcement aspect of the same will change as far as the Bureau of Immigration is concerned.
Mm.
But if there are any foreigners concerned or affected, then we will enforce the law as may be
Correct.
directed, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome, sir.
We call on SEC. Any comments from the SEC? I think we're SEC here. Malis na. DFA. Any comments from the DFA? Wala tayong sa DFA. How about to TESDA? Ma'am, I think this is insofar as the transition of the 20 plus Filipinos from POGOs to other industries.
Yes, sir. Good morning po. Good morning to all. In light of Section 7 of the bill, of which we will be coordinating with DOL and the ICT, of course, we welcome po this because this is in line with our mandate, and with other government agents, of course. We will be formulating, we will be helping in the formulation and implementation of plans and programs for the transition of the affected Filipino workers. So, TESDA naman po is ready with our mandate in the skilling and upskilling of our kababayans na mawawalan po ng trabaho. And of course, with the vast array of our skills development programs, masasali naman po sila doon. And we are ready to partner with other private agencies po, private institutions or private firms to develop our our workers who will be displaced. So, andyan naman po yung sa ating mga higher levels na skills. And then of course yung sa ating mga yung inline naman po sa kanilang mga kailangan na skills, kami po ay ready dyan para makipag-cooperate makipag-coordinate to different agencies po and other private companies po.
Thank you to TESDA, to Director Takuma. I can see Director Pangwi of DFA. Any comments, Director Pangwi?
Good afternoon, good morning, Honorable Chair. Though yung comments po ng DFA na prepared po is more on POGOs really. We have a previous comment on POGOs na when anything illegal na nakaka-harm sa atin is actually whatever business transaction, any economic transaction na that involves the trafficking of people. Of course, we do support that. Kung sa internet gaming po, ang importante po dito, at least as far as the DFA is concerned, related to our previous comments for this, as long as there's no trafficking, there's nothing involved, we're supportive of that, sir. Basta no criminal activities are involved. Yun po ng position ng DFA.
But so far, based on our information and also from the statements of PAGCOR, that e-gaming focuses mostly on the domestic market. Therefore, a lot of the employees in that industry are Filipinos because they cater to the domestic market. They have some foreign workers. I think 5%, or even in my records only 1%. 1% expats, but these are probably expats, no, officers of these companies, no. So that's why the interaction between BI and the DFA is much less, and also less stressful for you guys, no. Lalo na sa Bureau of Immigration, may natanggal na nga no. So so far as e-gaming is concerned, less stressful for both agencies because it's mostly Filipinos. Yes, go ahead, Director.
If I may, sir, if ang relation naman ng DFA, if ever, is more on but visas if ever, pero
yeah,
this will involve work visas, and work visas are not being issued by the DFA. So we differ on sa mga PEZA, DELA, or DOLE in regards to these the issuance of these work visas for expatriate employees.
All right. So any more comments from our resource persons? Hearing none, we will continue the bill to ban POGOs and to repeal the taxation of POGOs by going into a technical working group. And then this is in line with the pronouncement of the President. Hopefully, obviously, the executive order will come ahead of time before the bill will become a law. But nevertheless, the objective of the committee is to come up with a law so that this type of activities will not be permitted to operate in our country. As to e-gaming, we're continuing. We are undertaking a much more comprehensive study, and that's why we want to request from the BIR and the DFA as the DOF a cost-benefit analysis, as a Carlo, a cost-benefit analysis on the e-gaming. We also want to get information from the PNP and from the NBI. Insofar as e-gaming e-gaming is concerned, all crime related to e-gaming, please supply the committee with that. So we will continue to study the e-gaming portion of the bill. We don't have any recommendation yet, and we welcome more information from PAGCOR, of course, to complete our studies. So we will also request from AMLC and IACAT the same information regarding e-gaming. So with that, we don't have any more questions to the body, and feel free to send us your position papers on the 4 bills at hand, and we will continue to study this industry very thoroughly. So, maraming salamat po sa inyong presensya dito. Thank you for your participation and your candidness. This meeting is hereby suspended.